road. You've got tree frogs in your backyard.
It's right there on your back door, you know. My mother-in-law come from England and she just couldn't bear it. Even, you know, you've got to get the gecko out of the toilet so that I can go.
When I was building the house, I was using a special kind of chalk to mark the bricks. I kept losing my chalk. Anyway, I'd go to the hardware store and get another half a dozen of them, and then within a week, all gone. And then one day I was looking at the bowerbird's barrow, and there they all were, about 25 bits of chalk stuck in his bower. So every time I turned my back, he nicked off with one. So I soon worked that out. So I let him have 2 or 3, and then I took the rest. We had him on cycles. So he'd steal, I'd go and get some more from him. So yeah, I guess he was making the most of the situation, and once I worked it out, so was I.
That's Ian Morris's story. He lives just south of Darwin.
This property was pretty much part of a cattle station, really. It was called Elizabeth Valley Station. They subdivided it in the late 70s, and when we bought this 20-acre section of it, it was just bushland, and I must confess I wasn't particularly impressed. We inherited 20 years' worth of bad burning.
Bad burning is when bushfires are allowed to burn too frequently. They wipe out the understory vegetation. Naturally enough, the native animals hot-footed out of there. So Ian stopped the burning and began planting.
I got to a point after about 6 years where I realised that I was no longer necessary in this forest. I could step away from it, and it had a life of its own. That's pretty special. So I love coming home.
And no wonder. At one time or another at Ryalla, you'll see almost every native animal species in the Darwin region.
Well, we try to make all the wildlife that lives on this block feel comfortable. And usually the first step there is to get them used to humans, because humans are the noisiest, most in-your-face species on this block. Once they recognise you're not a threat to them, then they relax. Good morning, Poss. Sort of like you build up a relationship with them, and they know you. They know the sound of your voice and how you walk. And yeah, I definitely think there's a lot more to it than we realise. We do supplement feed some of our animals, but most of the livestock on the block is here of its own free will, and is here because we've provided extra resources like rainforest fruits or whatever. The other goannas, they'll prowl around, and if I don't feed them, they wander off. But there's one that's particularly good, and he often comes when I'm working on the veranda and I have my lunch with me, and he'll just sit and wait right next to me. He'll wait and wait and wait till I give him something, which shows a high degree of manners if it was a human. It's wonderful when you can live in a place that's animal habitat and you're just one of the life forms in that area, and you take your place. Day or night, there's animals here to talk to interact with. I sit out here and work sometimes with a laptop, and you end up getting surrounded by things. The goanna will come and sit on the mat, the butcherbird will sit on the lid. There'll be a passing parade of all sorts of things going past the veranda here. And it's just, you know, the place is full of life. Oh. And I find living here that the animals actually enjoy having friendly humans around. They actually exploit you. And the butcherbird that comes in will stay for 2 hours and sit and sing for no particular reason other than he just enjoys your company. And that's the marvellous thing. You going to sing for us, Butch? Yeah, give you a little bit first. He likes a bit of lamb. He's a bit of a lamb bird. Not every butcherbird that gets his lamb from the supermarket on call. So maybe you can sing for us, eh? Now he's mimicking nearly every other kind of bird we have on the property, including jungle fowl, varied lorikeets, silver-crowned firebirds. He got the lot in there. And he also loves hearing his own voice on record. So that for Butch is just a beautiful little sing-along.
Ian's current bird species count is a phenomenal 164, and it's growing. Each year, Ian says more and more animals seek refuge on his little bushland island.
If they're a wild animal, approach them quietly and at an angle. You can zigzag up, but if you approach anything directly, it will take evasive action. If you want to get its confidence, just walk quietly and no fast movements, no loud noises, and don't walk directly at them. And you'll be amazed how close. I use that for wildlife photography all the time, and it works beautifully. If you walked in a straight line, they're gone. Okay, come on outside. From my experience, most of these animals have no trouble with a man-altered environment. They only have trouble with man. Okay. See if you can do your hunting outside this time. Good example of that is the gold carpet snakes we get around here. When they turn up, I make a point of picking them up and talking to them and getting them used to the feel of my hands, and then I put them up a tree or on the roof or somewhere out of harm's way, just release them quietly. And from there on, they come and go. They don't seem to be bothered by humans.
A backyard haven can be a real godsend for some of Australia's native animals. Numbers of these little black-footed tree rats are declining right across northern Australia. But the little mammal does amazingly well near homes like Ian's. There aren't too many fires, and there's plenty of food. In this sort of habitat, you never know what might turn up on your doorstep.
My partners, Clem and Joyce, on the property, they have put a lot of time into the wallaby population here. We have about 20 to 30 agile wallabies that utilise this land. They come and go as they wish. And one of the wallabies in the population had a joey in the pouch. She was an older female, and she suddenly deteriorated in condition. And one day she brought the large pouch young to the back door and tipped that young one onto the doormat, went out into the garden, lay under a bush and died. And the little young one was left at Joyce's front door. I mean, it's hard to know what that mother wallaby was thinking, but it certainly looked like she was giving her young one to Joyce to look after, because she knew she wasn't going to live too much longer. And that was one of the amazing things we've seen on this property.